didn't take a rocket scientist to work out that America was going to attack Iran. It's been flagged for weeks. And yet we have a Prime Minister incapable of making a decision, dithering, pathetic in his response almost to everything.
In this video, Nigel Farage slams Starmer over his pathetic dithering response to the conflict in Iran. Before we get into the details, please like, share, subscribe, and be sure to leave us a comment.
I generally am somebody who is very, very deeply nervous of getting involved in foreign wars. The worry, of course, always is, what is the end game? What is the getting out strategy? And we've had far too much of that over the course of the last quarter of a century. But there is something fundamentally different when it comes to Iran. Gaddafi, Saddam, all these leaders, bad though they may have been, did not pose a direct threat to us, whatever the Labour Prime Minister of the day said. But Iran is very, very different. And I would argue that their funding of Hamas and other terrorist organizations since October the 7th, a couple of years back, has actually fundamentally changed much in our own country, including politics, where we now see sectarian voting, where we now see third world style election rigging, as we saw in Gorton and Denton just a few days ago. But that is nothing compared with the fact that the Iranian regime, aided and abetted by President Obama, the European Union, the British Foreign Office, Boris Johnson when he was Foreign Secretary, what we did was to appease Iran, to free up tens of billions of dollars with which they funded Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, their attempt to spread global terrorism. And they are desperate and in a hurry to build a nuclear weapon. And if there was one big justifiable reason why we should have supported the Americans and supported the Israelis on day one, if this war stops Iran getting a nuclear bomb, it will have been worth it. But what did our Prime Minister do? He said to the Americans, you cannot use military bases in the United Kingdom and you can't use Diego Garcia. It's funny, isn't it? All roads lead back to that dreadful Chagos deal. And then the Americans and Israelis did what they did. And then he said, not me, Gov. We're not involved. But we will put fighter jets into the sky in a defensive capacity. Quite how a fighter jet is defensive, I've never personally quite worked out. And now we learn that Ed Miliband led the sort of left-wing revolt in cabinet. And now we find ourselves humiliated. What was for centuries the greatest naval nation on earth is now unable for up to a fortnight to send a Type 45 to Cyprus to defend, and remember this, British sovereign territory. British sovereign territory, with hundreds and hundreds of British people there working and their families. So we've managed to upset the Cypriots. We've managed to upset the Americans. We've managed to upset the UAE, Bahrain, and all the other Gulf states that are on our side. And now, even Spain, who said they'd have nothing to do with any of it, have this morning sent a destroyer to help defend Cyprus and help defend our base. So we're being defended by the Spanish, defended by the French, defended by the Greeks, and incapable of defending ourselves. Yes, I know that the last British government ran down our armed forces in a virtually criminal way. But it didn't take a rocket scientist to work out that America was going to attack Iran. It's been flagged for weeks. And yet we have a Prime Minister incapable of making a decision, dithering, pathetic in his response almost to everything. And I'm guessing it's because Morgan McSweeney is gone. You see, Morgan McSweeney would give our Prime Minister, McSweeney would give him a sheet of paper and he'd stand up at a press conference or at the Commons and just read it out. With McSweeney gone, we see the naked truth, that our Prime Minister is a follower and not a leader, that he and our reputation on the world stage is frankly going down the drain, and the sooner they're gone and out of office, the better it'll be for everybody.
Nigel Farage pulled no punches at the Reform UK Welsh Conference in Newport, delivering a blistering attack on Prime Minister Keir Starmer's response to the conflict in the Middle East. Speaking at the launch of Reform's Welsh Manifesto, Farage described Starmer's leadership as pathetic and accused him of being a follower, not a leader. The Reform UK leader specifically targeted the Prime Minister's decision to initially block the US from using British military bases, including Diego Garcia, for strikes against Iran. Farage warned that this inaction has humiliated Britain on the world stage and seriously jeopardized the special relationship with the United States and NATO. Britain needs strong, competent, courageous leaders.